Ball games in the arcade. What are the most popular ones? If I had to guess, it's either going to be skee-ball or basketball. You saw the title of the video, so you know which one we'll be talking about today. The game you're probably thinking of for arcade basketball looks like this. They come in many versions, but typically they behave similarly. You'll have a timer that counts down when you try to get as many hoops in as possible. This just looks like a fun little amusement game. Right?
Nope.
These ones are actually redemption games. Not always, but typically you will be awarded tickets for playing these types of games. These things usually have a high score, which awards a jackpot if you beat it. The example I have here pays out 100 tickets for beating the high score. The manual for this game does state this amount is the default. If you reach a specified score when this timer runs out, you'll get what they call the bonus round, where additional time is granted. The only real interference here comes with the hoop itself moving. Personally, I don't see the appeal in these as ticket-making games. With such a low jackpot prize, why are the high scores so high? Your local arcades may be more lenient with high scores and jackpot amounts, but I find wherever I go, the ticket potential just feels awful with these games. For making tickets, these games aren't really my style. If I could play like this guy here, I might consider it more seriously. We can learn a lot from a player like this. Obviously the coordination of his shooting and reloading basketballs is very impressive, but he's actually playing with 2 sets of balls at once. Paying twice to double your reserve of basketballs makes sure you can shoot quickly without waiting. These games are fun to play, but strictly considering the ticket potential, I have to give these types of games D tier. These games are a lot more honest than others in the D tier, but they're just simply too weak to consider a higher placement. Having a really high skill ceiling and having a very low jackpot amount, I just can't understand why you'd want to grind for this game. It also doesn't help that the optimal strategy here is to pay twice just to extend your ammunition of basketballs. With that said, at least these arcade basketball games are more fair than their counterparts at the amusement park. Whoa, hold it. I'm not done yet. I have another basketball-related game I'd like to discuss. Check out Basketball Pro by Andamiro. Yeah, the same guys who brought us Pump It Up. There is a 2-player versus mode that seems to behave differently from the original game, but we will only be talking about the single-player experience for this video. This game is pretty interesting. You gotta punch down on these basketball buttons to shoot the balls off a little carousel and get them into the net. Each hoop you clear will be 3 points. The game will also have the net move around, so you'll need to adjust your power accordingly to these height changes. Within the last stretch of the game, you'll enter a mode where the game starts to award double points, so each hoop I clear here is worth 6. The challenge here comes from finding a consistent rhythm and force to use when shooting, as you are playing against a timer while trying to reach the jackpot, which they call the big win score, but let's just call it the jackpot. It's not an easy game. It takes a good amount of practice to figure out the shooting lineups. If you are missing a lot of shots, these missed shots can bounce back and end up hitting your incoming shots, so slowing down a little might be better than sending your next basketball into a rebounding one. Discussing the jackpot amount, it seems to increment based on each play that doesn't get the jackpot. There are rules on what these score floors and ceilings can be, and how these values increment. These all depend on how your arcade has the game configured. The score to get the jackpot behaves in a similar fashion and will depend on your configuration. If someone wins the jackpot, the score to win the next one may go up. I have heard this game may give a penalty if you win by too much, so if you want to get multiple jackpots, be careful how hard you win, as this can shoot the score up higher than the usual increment. But how much is too much? That depends on the configuration. So how do we rank this one? It has to go in the B tier. It's a hard game, but this one feels pretty good. I will admit I'm not the best at it. I'm more biased towards button or joystick games, but the potential here feels really high. Okay, let's look at one more basketball game. Introducing Connect 4 Hoops from Baytech Games. Alright, so full disclosure, this is my favorite of all the arcade basketball games, so it's my bias that's led to its inclusion for this video. Heck, it doesn't even need to be an electronic arcade game. I've seen versions at festivals where it's just a big inflatable thing, and it's still a good time. It's just Connect 4, but needing to aim your moves with basketball shots makes it so much more interesting. Sadly, my arcade recently got rid of their copy of this game, so we'll need to rely on the official trailer here. It has a single player mode where you play against the bot, but where it shines brightest is as a 2-player game. How much the machine can pay out depends on the arcade configuration. The winner and the loser have different amounts that can be set within these ranges. In my experience, I have found this game to be usually set to the lower side of these payouts. But even on the lower end, it can have a similar payout to the traditional basketball games, while being much easier to win. Oh man, am I really adding Connect 4 hoops to the tier list? This is basically a meme inclusion. But the more I think about it, it's actually on par with some other popular arcade games. In my personal experience, the payout of this game has been no different than something like Piano Keys, so we gotta place this one in the C tier. Don't take this one too seriously.